Welcome to Logically Emotional, the place to come for the answers to the questions you didn't know you had. Thanks to our sponsors, Happy Hemp Pharmacy, The Massage, and Riverfront Medicine DPC. Logically Emotional starts now.
Hey, welcome to Logically Emotional Podcast, where I'm still not going to get the opening right, but I will work on it. Anyway,
You've been saying that for like 8 weeks now.
I know. I'm still working on it.
Okay.
It's a work in progress. Like myself, a work in progress, which is why we have this podcast, because I am a hot mess work in progress.
Sure. It's the place that you can go for the answers to questions you didn't know you had.
Well, I wasn't going to say that because that's in the intro.
But that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Because it's what it is.
Because I can?
You can.
Okay.
You're a bad bitch.
Cool.
You do
yeah,
you.
I'm a badass.
Hey, look at the bottom of the screen right there. That's where you can find us. Tune in radio with Alexa. You can also find us on Google, Spotify, Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Stitcher, and, of course, our friends over at iHeartRadio support the show as well.
And logicallyemotionalpodcast.com.
Bingo.
Where you guys can go not only on social media, but you can go to that website. And if you have any questions, there's a form you can fill out. And if you want to remain anonymous, because maybe your question is a little touchy and you don't want anybody to know about it.
Oh, yeah. She won't throw anybody under the bus.
I won't, unless your name is Sting.
About to say. Do we remember the episode where I crawled under the desk?
Yeah, but I never referred to you by name. I just said, there's this guy I know. And then you just lost
And I was
it.
supposed to keep composure.
Yes, you were supposed to. You were supposed to.
Anywho.
So part of the reason we're doing this podcast, the main reason, is because I am a 48-year-old who still doesn't know jack shit about a lot of things in life.
And I'm just here to drink beer, so works out well.
And one of those things is estate planning.
It terrifies me.
What,
And I guess it's because I'm still young, but the idea of death
You're not really that young anymore.
Oh, you're a bitch. The idea of death terrifies me. You could be my mom, by the way, if we need to throw that out there.
If I was your mom, you wouldn't have turned out like this.
I know. That'd have been a whole lot worse. But no, the thing is, the idea of death terrifies me.
Why?
And I don't know. It's the idea that you cease to exist. And I know I don't want to get into faith and all this other bull crap. So please keep your pamphlets at home. I don't need to read your leaflets. I'm just saying, it's the idea that in the world that we live in, you are going to cease to exist. It's terrifying.
But you're going to be dead, so you're not even going to know it. My biggest thing is when I'm no longer here, what happens to my family, my friends?
Oh, I don't care about them. They can fend for themselves. They're fine.
Because
I'm kidding. I've got 4 kids.
So if I don't plan for something, right, and
Yes.
I croak, who's left holding that shitty, leaky bag?
Is your bag going to be that leaky and shitty?
Honey, how long have you known me?
Oh, baby girl, today we're going to upgrade you to a hefty.
Yes.
With that really good pull
It's
string
not really
that
that bad, but, I should have been planning all along. Like, I'm going to be 50 soon. I could croak tomorrow. I know, right?
And you said I'm old. Shit.
Yeah, but I look good.
Ow. Yeah, that hurt. There was an underlying dig. Yeah.
Yep, that I'm older and hotter.
I mean, I wouldn't kick you out of bed. But that's beside the point.
Thanks.
Let's get to our guest, shall we?
Yes.
He's just over here going, what the hell have I gotten myself into? I love it.
Well, he did get to hang out with us a little bit before, so he got a little taste of what we got going on.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were very lucky to be able to connect with Peter Harrison, Trailhead Estate Planning.
Look at how relaxed he is. He is just, I like this.
Yeah, but it's not only the connection,
right?
But we actually had a very good connection on the phone. So it's just like, all right, this dude's going to come in. He's going to talk about stuff we need to hear about, but he's not going to bore us because, quite frankly, you have got an interesting sense of humor that I really like.
Thank you. And
that's great.
Yeah, it's something that I like to do when I'm talking with folks, just to keep it from being boring or terrifying. It's we just gotta talk and just work through these issues, because otherwise it does become exactly like you say, a very leaky bag of dripping
Excrement.
excrement.
Yes.
It is nasty. And I've dealt with quite a few of these where
Get
it
your
was
feet off
last
the
minute.
table.
Yeah, you really are like his mom.
I am. Well, because it's rude. It's right in his face.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, my Lord.
Peter,
You know-
he was relaxed. I figured I'd kick back and enjoy the conversation too.
So yeah, it's definitely one of those that if you put it off into the last minute, it becomes a giant pain in the ass.
Right.
Because you've greatly limited your options, and some things that you would really be what you want are now off the table because you waited too long.
Right.
So it's
like what?
well. So
Because I will continue to say that I'm 48 because I just celebrated my birthday and it's still my birthday month.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt really good and
We
young
partied hard.
and we partied way too hard.
I don't remember much of it. I forgot it was your birthday, to be honest with you.
But yeah, okay, now you're just totally bringing me right back to reality
Sorry.
and I'm not ready for
yeah.
it yet, but that's okay.
I do get occasionally called the Grim Reaper at parties because I just totally kill it. It's just like, well, so much for that. And it's just like, people are either like, okay, that is fascinating, or they're like, oh,
You want another
how
shot, Peter?
Nice to meet you. And they just kind of start.
I need to find the restroom. Good talking
yeah.
to you.
It was a pleasant talk. Yeah.
I can only imagine that. Yeah, Peter, you want another shot? What if you get shot tomorrow? Are you prepared? Oh shit! I got.
That is
gotta go.
no.
Okay,
Funny.
but that's
That's a
funny.
good one. That was a good one.
You
Feel
can
free to
steal
use it.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no copyright on there.
But it's just one of those. The sooner you address those issues, the sooner you don't have to think about them anymore.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Because now it's not going to be one of those things that chews you up at night when you're laying on the pillow looking at the ceiling going, oh crap, what happens when? You've already answered that.
Right.
And that's a lot of what I try to bring to this conversation is let's just, take this one bite at a time, because a lot of people are like, that is a lot to think about. What do I do?
Yeah.
We just sit down and work it through one issue at a time. We can get through it usually in about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Oh.
Get it all knocked out, figure out what you want, and then boom, off
Right.
we go.
Because it's not just making sure that you have a will.
No, there's more than that.
Right,
Yeah.
which most people are like, yeah, I got my will, and it's in
yeah.
the toolbox in the shed, and you kids are taken care of. Don't worry about it.
My favorite is when the adult child is talking about, mom is getting not doing so hot, but I'm the executor. I'm like, and that's gonna help you after she's gone. Where's the power of attorney? What do you mean? Like, okay, yeah, we got some more things we got to
Take a
talk
couple
Right.
steps back.
Yeah, and we were joking about Monty Python before, and the way I usually says, you're not dead yet.
Right.
Just,
Real dead.
I'm not dead.
Really?
I'm not
Merely a
dead.
flesh wound.
Really, yeah, not dead yet. So yeah, we got to talk about that kind of stuff because it's out there, and what you don't want to have happen is be worrying about that kind of thing, or have your family members worrying about that kind of thing after something's already happened.
Right.
Because by that point, it's a little too late. And so
Exactly.
that's again back to you've really limited your options. So a prime example is with a power of attorney. You can get a power of attorney and an advance directive for healthcare cheap. We're talking like $200 versus wait until the car crash comes and now you're laid up in the hospital, you're incapacitated, somebody's got to start making decisions for you, and now we've got to go get a conservatorship from the court, and instead of being $200 you're looking at $5,000 plus.
Wow. But see, that's what scares me, though. If I give somebody the power of attorney, I mean, I'm divorced. If I'd given it to her, she'd just been like, pull the plug. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, and
Just go ahead and do it.
that also brings me back to it's not one and done.
Yeah. His eyes didn't flutter. Just do it. It's fine. He's
He's
done.
not trying to talk.
I'm just saying.
We do also have a lot of very entertaining conversations.
Divorce makes you realize a lot. What is the prime age, though?
It's basically everyone from 18 up until your last days has got something to work on. Now it's different depending on where in life you are.
Okay.
18-year-olds, we are really usually only worried about the incapacity documents. So that's what happens if you are in that car crash. Like, we hope nothing's going to happen. And I mean, look around. Everybody gets past that age. So it doesn't happen to everybody. But at the same time, you don't want to go riding bareback on something like that. You just want to get it done.
Right.
Next up, you got the folks that are married or have the little kids.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, what we're much more concerned about is, okay, if something happens to both of us, I really don't want my kids getting $100,000, $200,000, whatever their life insurance policy is at age 18.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you remember what you would have done with $100,000 at age 18? Because I know it would have been something incredibly stupid.
I mean, off the top of my head, hookers and blow.
Yeah, I was thinking of it. So I don't want to say that.
Off the top of my head.
And then you're going to waste the rest
The
after
keg, maybe
Right.
some strippers.
Bail money.
it's stuff like
Right.
that.
I don't know. I wouldn't get caught. I was a very sly 18-year-old.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Bail money. Just a little bit, though.
But so that's like that next bracket is how do we make sure we, because the odds are good that nothing's going to happen to you, but you just want to have that security blanket to tuck
Right.
you in at night that
And
if something
it's-
does, you can hold it until they're fiscally mature.
Right, but
to take it.
let's just go back to your younger couple,
Yeah.
younger children. Documentation of, oh my God, honey, God forbid we get into a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets the kids? Is that part of it also?
Yes, that's also part of the will.
Right.
So basically, we're talking about three main roles when we start talking about young couples and what are their documents going to have in the will. You're going to have the executor, whose job is to collect all the stuff, pay off all the last bills. You can't cheat your debt collectors by dying.
Right.
You can't go that
What?
far.
No, I can't pay that
Wait,
MasterCard. He's dead.
Wait. Side note: Can your whoever's in your executor file bankruptcy in your name?
So,
they-
that's called that's called an insolvent estate. If you owe more than the estate has,
okay.
and then the statute has got a list of who gets paid first.
Okay.
And so you basically walk through all that. But that's the executor's job: is collect all we've got, figure out how much we actually owe versus all the guys that are just like, oh yeah, owed me $20,000. Mm-hmm. No,
Right.
Hit the road, Jack. You're out of here. It's only people that got real debts that we want to deal with.
Right.
And then whatever's left after that either goes to the beneficiaries outright, if that's what we're doing, or goes to the trustee, which is when we had little kids. The trustee is the person who's going to take that money and invest it and use it for the kids until they've reached the age that the trust is done and we've handed it over.
Gotcha.
The third role is the guardian, who is taking over for the parents if both the parents are now gone.
Right.
And that can be quite the conversation because you got a lot of things to talk about there, like similar parenting styles. Do they already have
Finances.
like 4 kids in the house? Like, how many more do you want to come rolling on in?
Ethan, real quick.
Yeah.
Can you just... None. None.
So
Not a damn one. All right, Ethan, go back to him. It's fine. We're good.
So yeah, that's just one of the. But that's one of the things. Sure. Okay, we got to take that into consideration because there's also I've had several people that were like, okay, I said yes to like 3 different couples, and now it's hit me that if something happens and I suddenly find myself like with 6 kids in my house, what have I done? Like,
Right.
You got to sit down and talk about that. Just figuring out who's going to take over that role. So that's the third one there. And usually you don't want to have the guardian and the trustee be the same person because then you've got the person who's watching the kids also watching the money. And now you've introduced temptation.
Shit.
Well,
yeah.
honey, we do need a hot tub, and it's very beneficial for the
Yeah,
kids because it
exactly.
will
Well,
relax
of course,
them
because
before
they're
they go to
arthritis.
sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It just
Right.
makes
Of course.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, that's the like. We want to cut out that temptation. Where,
Right.
If you've got we have to go ask someone else for the money. That's gonna kibosh a lot of the BS claims.
right.
Like, nope, that's out of here.
Right.
Oh, you need money for tuition? Check written.
Right.
But,
Right.
the hot tub? No.
I really wanted that hot tub.
I know.
So,
honey. I know. I'm sorry.
But that's the main stuff that goes into young couples with young kids.
Right.
Then you get the folks with the kids are getting out of school now. Mm-hmm. So now we're more worried about, okay, now we know which ones are screw ups and which ones aren't. What do we do to protect the ones that are screw ups so that when they get it, they don't immediately just go blow it or lose it all to that evil step or son or daughter-in-law that we just can't stand? How do we protect that kind of stuff? Like, so we
Right.
sit down and start talking about that kind of thing. Also, usually by that point, a lot of folks are in their second or third marriage. And so it's, okay, now we're the Brady Bunch. And if I give everything to you, my dearly beloved spouse, and then you die, are you going to remember my kids from my first marriage? And the answer is no. They may think, oh, sure, honey, I love them. I'll take care of them. Only if I die next.
Right.
Right away.
And I'm sure there are some exceptions out there, but you're right. I mean,
and the thing is, what happens is five. It may be fine the first year, but add 5-10 years because when one spouse dies, the other one's going to keep going, and oftentimes it's like 20 years down the road. Do you think that relationship is going to stay solid for the next 20 years?
Right.
It won't. So
You're not from my loins. Get the hell out.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we got to make sure we address those problems. And then the last group are the folks that have retired. They're definitely older now, and now we're starting to worry about, okay, grandkids, and more importantly, the cost of long-term care, because we don't die like our great-grandparents did. Just,
heart attack in the field.
Yeah.
Or, not
You're running out there hunting and somebody accidentally shoots you. Yeah, I get it. Like a Dick Cheney kind of thing. Totally get it.
Yes. But yeah, that's more. We're more concerned now about, okay, how do we manage those costs, because of what happens if one of us is ill and the other one is healthy. If we spend everything down on the ill spouse, we now leave the healthier spouse with bupkis.
Yeah.
Like, crap, how do we deal with that? And so that's it's a whole spectrum of people that we're dealing with all these different issues. So that's why when someone says, oh, how much is a will? I'm like, well, what's going on?
Right.
Because if it's like something simple, I don't have to do much and bam, you're done.
Right.
Whereas if we got everything in the moon to do, that's going to take some of my time. And so the price is going to be adjusted accordingly.
Right. Absolutely.
And I mean, obviously, and this is obviously we record the show a couple of weeks in advance, and if you guys have not noticed this, but a couple of days ago, there was a very, very stark reminder.
Oh yeah.
That you need to be prepared because you never know. And that being said, obviously, I think we need to address this anyway, but Kobe Bryant passing away on Sunday,
and
41 years old, young, Gianna on the helicopter, and first
Brand
off,
new baby.
Yeah, and 7-month-old newborn.
Who was not in the accident.
No, thank God. Right. So first off, let us say this, not to completely put a roadblock in the conversation, but obviously media exposure everywhere because of Kobe, because he was a superstar, but there were 9 people on board that helicopter, including one of her teammates. So we're looking at another 13-year-old that lost her life. So first of all, our thoughts and prayers and condolences are with the family, because this is a very tough thing to deal with. I couldn't imagine being Vanessa and getting that phone call on Sunday that not only did you lose your husband, but you lost your teenage daughter as well. Right. That's devastating. But at the same time, as things have come out this week, we did find out that Vanessa and Kobe actually had an agreement, because he owned the helicopter and he used that to travel all the time. You're in LA traffic. He used it to go to practice or whatever. He used it all the time. The agreement between the two was that they would never be together on the helicopter. She could take it, or he could take it in the event that the worst happens. So, again, a stark reminder that it can be over like that.
Yep.
You never know. And also, you're looking at a guy who was absolutely brilliant, but also wasn't afraid to prep and make sure that, now I don't have, 3 orphan children.
Yeah.
My wife's still there to take care and continue on the legacy. So, I know it kind of went off on a tangent there, but I mean, I still think it's something that it really kind of drains you and makes you kind of pale and go, oh my God, this really is something that can happen.
It is a very good reminder that you're never too young to start preparing. And like you said earlier, you start your stuff at 18. Yeah, your stuff is going to change as, your work changes, and then you get married and you have kids, and you can always update things, but it's a lot easier to update and make amendments than it is to start from scratch.
Yeah. And also, if you're comfortable with it, if you're familiar with what's going on, you're used to it. You kind of get inoculated to it, and it's not quite so terrifying.
Well, I think it's kind of like, it's planning a trip, right? What do you do? Like, you make sure that the oil is changed, then the tires. Okay, I make sure that
he's looking at you like,
planning a trip?
So, yes, if I'm
that
going
you don't
on,
come back from.
like a 17-hour drive, I change my oil before I go. I make sure that, if the tires need to be rotated, they're rotated and filled with air. And we've got the emergency flares and the first aid kit and, of course, a cooler.
You carry flares?
Yes, they're in my car.
Holy shit.
All
You're
this
way
my
more
point
prepared than I've
is-
the
ever
planning
been.
is not for you. The planning is for the ones you love, so that they're
true.
not having to try and figure out what to do.
Right.
I've
Because
never
that's
carried
the
flares.
purpose.
That's fascinating.
Holy crap, guess what you're getting for Christmas?
Flares?
Yes.
I'm going to set them off in the parking
I was
lot.
gonna say,
Oh
are
my
you
God.
really sure you want to get on fire?
Probably
Chris and
not.
I'll have a flare war in the parking
Oh
lot.
my god. Okay.
But no, you
Regroup on
are
that.
right.
But that's my point.
That's a
Is
good
like,
analogy.
right? You don't just you shouldn't just hop in the car and drive,
Right.
Right? Because you didn't check your tires, and what if one's bald? Then you get a flat, right? But what if your spare is flat? So you have to prepare for all of this stuff, and it's very similar for preparing
This falls back into
that you don't do.
this falls back into insurance and things like that, like AAA, life insurance,
Yeah.
all these Aflac,
you
maybe
have
even
AAA?
Aflac. Yeah, I do.
Oh.
Kiss my ass with those flares.
Good
I got
for
AAA. But no, it goes back into, these are things that you buy in case something were to happen. So you're already preparing for the inevitable. Again, Aflac. Look at Aflac. I mean, they have made a boatload of money off. If something happens to me, you're going to pay me cash, and I can at least take care of my family, my mortgage, whatever, for whatever amount of time.
And that's the whole premise of insurance: is you're
Yeah.
shifting the risk within a set period of time for a set amount of money.
But I don't know, man. For me, I'm still in that mindset. It's like, I know I'm not going to be immortal. With the advances in modern technology, I should be able to live to be like 400. But, that's reasonable.
Are you planning on retiring at 360 then?
Yeah.
It's a Ricky Bobby reference, and nobody got it. That's so upsetting.
No.
But anyway, no, I'm just saying, to me, it's so much harder to think about the end. Like life insurance, whatever. I'll sign it, and you're going to take 50 cents a month out of my paycheck, whatever. No harm, no foul. $100,000, they can all fight over it. They'll be fine. Okay, it's going to cost me like $9,000 to drop me in some dirt and throw it on top of me. I'm good. But when you really get down to the nitty gritty, that's when it's like, that's where I start getting freaked out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's so weird. I can't explain it. It's like a phobia, I guess. It's stupid.
It happens.
Don't look at me like...
Okay, well, all right,
There's
it's
some
similar.
superstitions.
Oh,
There are people that have superstitions.
If we talk about it, it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with before you get married, right? Honey, let's talk about having a prenup.
Oh,
You
man, I
don't
wish I'd
love
done
me.
Oh, boy.
You want all my, you're not going to leave me anything.
Whereas in marriage too, they're like, let's talk about that.
Let's
prenup.
talk about that one. Yeah, absolutely. But it's very similar. It's like if you talk about a prenup, there goes the marriage, right? It's already doomed. You're planning your escape route. You're already
We need to do
there.
a whole show on why you shouldn't get married, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll do that another time when I
However.
can't find a cool guest to bring on
Oh, we should bring a guest on, like a rabbi or something.
and a priest.
Oh, and they walk into a bar. Hey,
There we are.
this poor guy. He's like, what the hell am I doing here? But no, it does. So do you ever come across people with cold feet? And if you do come across people with cold feet, how do you... because obviously you're a very relatable guy. You're funny. It would definitely be much more comfortable for me to sit down and talk to you about it.
Yep.
But what is your approach besides making the jokes or just kind of getting that relationship to kind of ease their mind a little bit?
Well, it's basically what you see right here, where we're just basically talking about the issues. Hey, let's knock out those issues, get these other underlying problems done, and before you know it, you've actually got the whole plan done without actually talking about how am I going to die, because that's not as relevant to me.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
So,
I don't care how it happens.
Let's just make sure
See ya.
you're prepared.
Yeah, you are a hit of a party, aren't you? I'm teasing.
I know I always it's always funny because it's exactly people are like or they're like, okay, how does that work? Because I've always it's
Right.
What do you do for a living? I make sure when you're dead, everybody's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, bro.
exactly, it's either fascinating or oof. So
Yeah.
it's just-
I appreciate that. Hey, honey, remind us not to
Middle
invite him
ground,
again. Peter can't come out.
That's either Peter or the guy who owns the morgue. What do you want? Which one do you want? Huh?
I'll take Peter.
Okay. I would too.
He'll at least go
I
shot
would
for
too.
shot, wouldn't he?
So,
There
yeah,
you go.
You're getting ready for that next one, and I'm kind of thinking someone needs to bring another one for me too. You know,
Really? Because we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Wanna do
Are
that?
you loosened up enough? You want
Yeah,
one?
I'm loosening up enough.
Hey, can we put us on a double screen there? Do you mind grabbing a beer? You don't mind grabbing a beer?
Thank you,
was like,
Ethan.
It's like, why don't you take a long walk off a short pier?
Actually, go ahead and make that 2, because I have a feeling 3. When it comes to my immortality, I'm probably going to get drunk on this show. So go ahead.
So,
I
sorry,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say, I'm sure you have a question. Go ahead. No, I've kind of been hogging this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Hog away, man. Because I actually really don't know. Like, I am not prepared. Pretty sure I have a will that's not legal in my lockbox.
It's in the toolbox.
It's in the
that's the kind that
toolbox
always
in the
drives me
shed.
nuts.
Thank you,
Yeah.
honey.
Padre. What? Colby LeBryan.
Whoa!
That was for Kobe. I will save this one for him.
Yes. Yeah, I think I like found it online. Like, I don't know, forever ago.
Did you legal zoom it or something?
Oh,
No,
that's
it was just a template thing or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, sound, mind, and body. Hey, sign this that I'm in sound, mind, and body. It's probably not legal. Does it have to be notarized?
So, Tennessee is one of these fun states that lets you do a handwritten will.
Yes.
So you can do that.
So the one on the napkin is good.
Well, maybe.
Damn it.
Technically.
Depending on if you wrote it at the restaurant after they've already said you have Alzheimer's,
So-
that will probably be thrown out.
Let's say, so here's the problem. Yes, you can write your own will, and you can do services like LegalZoom, but it's just like trying to remove your own appendix.
Okay.
You can do it, but are you really sure you want to trust something that important to someone who has not spent a long time learning all the ins and outs of
That's
this?
fair. Let's do this
Ooh,
thing.
that is fair.
Beer in the mics. Let's crack them.
So
Oh, that sounded so good.
there it is.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Of course.
To Peter,
Yes.
helping us cheat death. No, I'm kidding.
No, I would say help you cheat taxes, but you can't cheat taxes. All you can do is minimize them to the
Right,
lowest amount
right,
legally allowed.
You have mentioned the 2 things that are for certain in life:
course.
taxes and death. Of course, yeah. Those. How detailed do you need to get in a will?
So
Do I need to leave like the 3 extra boxes of soap I have in the cabinet to each child? And I say that facetiously, but how?
Leave him to Chris.
No, he won't
The
use
soap?
my soap.
Oh.
No, I'll give it to Ethan though.
Okay.
Ethan will use it.
So the level of detail, what we're really looking for are the items that are big enough that you would want them to be protected.
So
That's
obviously,
what we're-
like heirlooms,
Yeah.
things like that, family handouts.
things that have value, either financial or true intrinsic value. So
Okay.
the soaps, okay, you do what you want with those, but like for example, I have one. It's my wedding band is actually the right hand ring from my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And he'd offered it to me when I was first going off to college, and I was like, "Are you out of your mind giving an 18-year-old diamonds?" No, I don't want that. I had enough wisdom in me to say pass.
Right.
And then when I was getting married, we were trying to figure out, okay, what's my ring going to be? And so I went back to him and asked, is that offer still on the table? And he was like, why? It's like, because we need to pick a wedding band. Can I have him? Before I'd even finished the sentence, he'd taken it off and handed it to me.
Oh, that's incredible.
So this has got a story behind it. Not only is it something from my grandfather, but now it's something that I can pass on to my son.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's got its value as a piece of jewelry, but what is it worth to me? It's worth a lot more to me.
Right.
And so I can either have that absolutely like in stone in the will that it will go this way, or Tennessee lets you actually do what's called handwritten memorandum. So this was done for, frankly, the little old ladies that were driving estate planning attorneys nuts with like 4 pages of I give my iron to my grandchild, and like you're killing me. Why am I having to do this? Only to have her then call back next month and make changes. Like
Wait.
no.
I got a new iron. Put this serial number on there, please.
Yeah, so that was sort of for
Maria is
everybody's
being-
benefit.
Maria doesn't get the iron.
What
No.
a bitch. I'm not giving her the iron.
No. Do you know what she did?
Yeah.
So
Did
Those
not
poor guys.
visit.
So you can get as detailed as you want on that personal property memorandum. I'm not going to get that detailed. And frankly, a lot of stuff when you start getting down to, especially if you start walking around your house, like how much of your house is full of stuff as
just shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like who cares about this? Just sell it, get rid of it,
That
and move
computer
on.
monitor hasn't worked in 4 years, but
Yeah,
I've still got it in the garage.
But you know what? Somebody will pay $5 at the yard sale. Yard sale.
And there are companies that specialize in cleaning out houses.
Yeah.
So
I'll get
that's-
around to it one day.
Oh my Lord.
But yeah, what we are really looking at is what's really important. Let's,
Right.
let's not get lost in the minutia. Let's not get lost in the woods. So that's kind of how we do that. Georgia doesn't have that same statute, but when you have a handwritten memorandum like that, and you're just telling the executor, hey, send this stuff out to these people, it doesn't really have value. So why are we fighting about it? And if anyone is going to start getting pissy about like, I want that iron, no, I want that iron, like y'all.
Yeah.
Grandma said she
iron,
wanted
yeah.
that iron to go to this person.
Right.
Get over it.
Done.
Yeah.
You know, like
So, but basically, you're saying that every state is different. So
Yes.
people really need to. You can't just write your will on a napkin, stick it in the shed, or hide it somewhere. Like you need
Yeah,
to go
don't-
talk to a professional.
Yes, you really
and Don't
do.
hide your will, right?
no, do not hide the will. Make sure people can find it because that is actually, if we can't find the will, an expense. We have to start basically tearing the house apart trying to find it,
Do you
or
guys keep
cracking.
copies, or is there only one copy?
That is a great question. So when you execute a will with a lawyer, it is your document. And the question is, do you want to take it home with you or do you want to leave it with the lawyer? Either option is fine.
And you do both.
So you need the original. There should only be one original.
Right.
Okay.
Because that's what gets handed over to the court. Because if you don't have it, the presumption is that the person who wrote the will tore it up and threw it in the garbage. So
okay.
you want to make sure we know that where that document is and make sure it's safe there. So our two choices are you take it home and you sign a receipt with me as the lawyer basically saying, I don't got it. So if we can't find it later, no one's looking to me.
Right.
You took it.
It's on
The risk
you.
is on you. Good
Right.
luck. Have a good time. The other alternative is you leave it with the lawyer, in which point you get a paper copy for yourself and you put it with the rest of your important documents. Just boom, there you go. Now, nice and easy. And then it's up to me to make sure I've got it in a nice fireproof, safe off-site.
Right.
Make sure that it's protected so we can come find it later.
But that's where we look into like safe deposit boxes, something like that. No.
Danger, danger,
that. Can't do
danger.
that.
Whoa. So the
Danger will.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm not planning to die.
Yeah.
I haven't done all
That
of
was
this.
a TV reference.
I missed
Yeah,
it. Well, you missed my Ricky Bobby reference earlier.
now we're even. So the problem with safety deposit boxes is those have restricted people who can get into them. And if you
that's
have
right.
not clarified who can get into that
Yep.
box, now we got to go get a special order from the court to drill the box and look for just the will and nothing else.
Gotcha.
So that is not a good place to put it.
Fair. Okay.
Same thing with things like power of attorney and an advance directive. A lot of people are like, oh, I should just put that in the safety deposit box. No, because guess when someone's going to need it?
To get into the safety deposit.
Yeah,
box.
you know what they need
Right.
to get? Saturday night.
Right.
Yeah.
Good luck getting the bank open. You just
Yeah,
know.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, now we've got ourselves with an emergency situation, and we're having to wait until Monday morning at 9:00.
Sure.
Right.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's
so
Makes total
poor
sense.
Planning.
Makes total sense. So, God, I don't know, because you see this happen more times than not, that this gets messy, even though there's a will involved. This gets messy because, you know what, I've got 4 kids. Shit, I might do my will, croak tomorrow. And one might be pissed off, know, and there's going to be a constant fight. I mean, we see this happen so much. Normally it happens when it comes to the fact that there's either money or a ton of like very important
money makes people crazy.
Yes.
Or the
Especially
house,
dead people's money.
or-
But yeah, the house, anything
Right.
of value, right?
Right.
So how do we maneuver around? I mean, what happens after the will is executed? We know where everything's supposed to go, but there's going to be bitch fits and lawsuits and all this other stuff.
Ooh, can I ask a question before
So
you answer that?
one question, number 2 question, go ahead.
Well, it actually has to do with his. Like, Wouldn't it just be a really smart thing to sit down with your kids and say, hey, in the eventuality that something happens to me, this is what I'm putting in my will.
Yep. Okay.
Let's fight about it now.
So that's that. Now we're getting into family counseling and not as much into legal work. And so that when I get that question, that's what I tell the clients is,
Right.
okay, it is entirely up to you as to whether or not you tell your family what you're doing. You don't have to.
True.
So if you know you're going to do something that's going to piss somebody off and you don't want to talk about it now, you can chicken out. That is totally within your rights. You can just leave that to everybody else to figure out.
Gotcha.
If you want to avoid the fight, which is much more what I want to do, because it's a lot easier to avoid the fight than to reenact Bleak House and have me take everything with the legal fees. Like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not how I want to spend my day.
Right.
Is listening to people want to kill each other over, like, NFL's helmets, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
why are you guys trying to kill each other over this? This is insane. You know, when you step back and say, okay, what now? Like my dad was a lawyer as well, but he did a lot of divorce. And and he actually had one time where he and the attorney from the other side were trying to negotiate the split of commemorative plates with the NFL teams on them.
Oh my
my
God.
goodness.
You know how much those go for at flea markets though, bro? I mean, this is-
That's why he was like,
Hey, man.
The two lawyers looked at each other, eventually looked at their clients and said, do you know how much money you are wasting on this right now? Do you want to just cut a check for the other side to have the whole set, you know, just be done with this?
You're spending more on us arguing than you are getting for the plates.
You got it.
That's
Yeah.
Gordon right there. He wasn't in a wreck. That's just some ketchup on his forehead. Let me get that off.
So like that's anyway if we want to cut out those fights, it's probably a good idea to start having these conversations now. And also when you start talking about if one child is taking on a larger proportion of the duties and like who's taking care of mom as she's aging, or who's taking care of dad, because one child is local and the others are God knows
Everywhere,
where.
yeah.
And that's when you start really seeing a lot of differences based on perspective. The one that's off on the West Coast can't do a lot
Right.
of the day-to-day stuff and doesn't know all the things that have been going on with the local child trying to take care of mom. You know, wiping your mom's ass is not something that, you know, you want to volunteer for. That's not fun. And a lot of those unpleasant, tough things and a lot of the emotional burden, sometimes parents want to reward the child that's helping with that.
Right.
And then when you have the kid out in the West Coast not understanding what all was going on, thinking that it's going to be an even split, and it's not, how much of that could have been avoided with some discussion?
I'm so glad my sister's local.
I was just going to say, Hannah should have sat in on this.
I am
one.
not wiping an ass.
Now, part of...
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, getting off the ass.
She did it for you a lot. So growing up.
No, I passed it down to 4 other kids.
Yeah.
Somebody else can wipe her ass. My sister doesn't want kids, all right? She needs her share of ass wiping. My mom's there. We're perfect. I'm just not ready for this conversation.
Life of the party, man. Life of the party.
Amen, right? I bet that one goes over well. So, Jessica, who's going to wipe your mom's ass later on in life? Well, I'm fucking sober. Thanks, Pete.
You got another beer over there, man.
You're good.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah, well, this is this poor baby. So he's got this podcast, and then last week we recorded with financial coaches. So it was 2 subjects that he wasn't ready to address.
Yeah.
The week before that, we did a dating expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, financial coaches and I are like, you know, gloves just together. That's just, I help protect it. They help build it.
Nice.
You,
See,
you
it's
need
perfect.
to, yeah,
It's
you just
hand
have
in
to,
hand.
yeah, you have to work together.
Now,
I tried to get out of this week's episode, but my fucking oven's electric, so, you know, that didn't work out so well.
you can get up and leave anytime you want. Ethan and I can handle this.
So
Ethan doesn't even talk.
He could.
I think he's a mute.
no, I just.
Oh God. Wow.
So are you part of the Worth More Dead Than Alive club? Because I know I am.
No, God, no,
You don't
Jesus.
To your
need
ex-wife.
insurance, man. You,
Huh?
To your ex-wife.
To my ex-wife? Oh, she actually, that's another story for another day. Yeah, she would probably enjoy it much more. Her life would be fulfilled. But no, I'm not. I'm not at this point. And that's why I asked about what age is really the prime age, because with me, and I'll be transparent, whatever, I started a career when I was 16, followed that path up until I was about 28. Unfortunately, it was in radio, terrestrial radio. So now we saw that switch in technology and everything else. And you see the market share go down, layoffs, all this stuff happens. So it's like, okay, I've got to refocus. Refocused. And then, my wife's like, cool, deuces, I'm out. And you're just like, what the fuck? No, you can't just walk out of a drive-in movie. I don't know what you're doing. But she did. And, so now here I am. I'm 31, and we've got a beautiful facility, and we've built this place from the ground up. And so now I'm in this point where, obviously it takes time to grow a business.
Yep.
And you're in that uphill climb. Now, once you hit the pinnacle, things are going to be great. But it takes time to get to the pinnacle. So what's my life going to look like in a couple of years?
Yeah.
Probably drastically different than it does right now.
Yep.
But as it stands, I'm worth way more alive right now.
Okay. So kind of what I was getting at was, do you have more like a bunch of life insurance? Because that's what a lot
No.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people with young kids have, is a big ass life insurance policy, either through work or just because they went out and got one. And some have what they think is a big policy. And then when I start talking with them about, okay, if something happens to you, what's it going to cost to replace you? Like, to have a professional provide the child care that you're doing for free because they're your youngins.
Sure, yeah.
Like how much, because... So, you're working together with your wife, or, she's got her own job. We'll say, is she going to take the kids to work? No.
Right.
Or if she's staying at home, how is she going to pay the bills?
Right.
You got to have something that replaces you. And you got to have enough insurance to be able to do that. And that's one of those things about, I work real well with financial advisors, because they'll tell you the same thing, and then the first person you tell that to, they don't want to listen to it.
Right.
Absolutely, yes.
From the second party being like, and this is why. So
we really...
Oh, right.
Remind me after the show, we really need to put you in contact with the financial advisors that we had, because
they
you
were
would love
awesome.
them. They're phenomenal.
Yes.
Husband and wife couple, new to Chattanooga, from Washington, but looking to grow their business.
I may know them. We'll talk about them after.
Rebecca and
Dylan.
Yes.
Yeah, you know them.
I know
okay,
them.
great.
Oh, they're awesome.
They were here last week.
Yeah. Good people.
Yeah.
Phenomenal people. But anyway, whatever, off subject. But it does make sense that you guys are hand in hand when it comes to something like this. So what do you recommend as far as a life insurance policy? So if I were to come to you and say, look, I want to start planning all this out from A to Z. Let's get a will done. Let's get a power of attorney ready. I need a trustee ready for the money for the kids. I need all of this put in line. Plus, I really want to look into life insurance, and I need a policy.
Sure.
What amount, and obviously everybody's different,
Yep.
but if there was like, this is where we're going to start, or this is probably the median for everybody, what would you say?
You need to talk to a financial advisor, because I'm not licensed to sell life insurance. So, yeah, that's what it's like. You just went bump right up on one of those guardrails. Like, the SEC gets very particular about, and that's not the Southeastern Conference. That's,
Right. Yeah, sure.
Securities and Exchange Commission gets very particular about who can sell life insurance. So that's one of those where I would teach you about the differences between the various types, but when it comes time to actually like what's the right one for me and how much do I need to get, you're talking to the wrong dude.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would point out, be like, okay, these are your concerns, here's where your hole is. Like, you have a house with a $250,000 mortgage on it. How is that going to get paid? Okay, so that's a chunk of money that you probably want to be looking at right away.
No doubt.
And then how much is it going to cost to replace you and raise the kids until they're age 18? Like, that's what is that dollar figure? Go talk to the person who sells that kind of product.
Like funeral arrangements, is that something that you talk about?
Yes.
Because it has, obviously you should plan for it, whether you're getting cremated, do you have to buy a plot and a headstone, or are you just going to hope your kids don't stick you in a closet somewhere?
Hey, dude, I'm fine with like one of those metal barrels in the backyard, and like everybody just drinking beer.
Can? You're not going to go with the Folgers
the Folgers can, like Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. It wouldn't be a Folgers can, though. I think maybe.
Put you in one of those.
Could you fit me in a Natty Light can?
Absolutely not.
Sure, honey.
Well, I'm not talking about right now, dumbass. I'm talking about if you burnt me. This is why Ethan doesn't get to talk on the show. At least half my
I thought
powder
that's why
can fit in
James
there.
couldn't talk on the show.
No,
So-
God.
Yes, I do talk about those questions, but usually for younger couples or younger clients, it's just you can do this if you want, but that's probably really premature.
Right.
Because if you're going to live for another 60 years, do you know which city you're going to be in?
Sure.
So
So what age do you recommend that? I mean, maybe 50?
No, typically folks that have retired or
Really? Okay.
yeah,
So
or
past 65.
yeah, folks that have really kind of settled down, they know where they want to be.
Right.
Oh, good. We don't have to buy you a plot yet.
I'm getting cremated.
Oh,
And so-
cool. Where do
and-
you mean sprinkle you?
That, by the way, is another thing to
Bonfire?
talk about because you start talking about what do you want to do with that. Because you talk about like it's like $9,000 to chuck you in a hole and
Yeah.
that's pretty accurate for the cost of a burial. Cremation's cheaper.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so you just get done, and you don't have to have a burial plot. They have they call them, it's a columbarium is what they call it, where basically it's this tower of blocks, and you just have a little hole drilled
Like a
in it.
mausoleum, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's like a little standalone one.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And you're with a bunch of other people. Just everybody's got their little plaque.
Hey, man, I always like to party. Just put me in the middle. I'll be the life of the whole damn thing.
So it's basically a high rise for ashes.
That is
it's
phenomenal.
So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do it, or you can get a little plot because it's about this big of the ashes, and so you just dig like a post hole.
Have you guys seen the?
I do
Have
like
you
the
guys
ones where
seen
the
the one-
trees.
Yes.
Is that what you're going
Yes.
for? Yeah, where they
Yes,
put
yeah,
the body
like-
in with
that's-
the
and
trees.
then you're in
becoming
your
something
fetal
new.
position, and it's tree.
that's
And
something
Yeah.
that's happening out west, and it's slowly working its way east.
Is that
and I
even-
think that's a
There's a
I
lot
know
of
this
strange
isn't
people
your
out west. But
question, your ballywick, but like, is that even legal? Because I thought like
And
it
that's
had
what
to
they're
be
working on right now.
lead lined so that
So
your
that's
ooey gooeys don't ooze into the ground.
Well, the problem is not so much the ooey gooeys as it is.
Yeah, you ever heard of like
germs that
Well,
that's what I
formaldehyde?
mean.
Anyways, that's
No,
the
no.
problem. That's why there are specific laws. That's why they're having to work on getting it through the
Like a
legislature.
state-by-state
Right.
basis,
make
yeah.
sure
Because
that
I'm
that state's
assuming you
like,
can't
okay, now
like
you're okay, because
yeah,
that's a major
you can't
health concern.
embalm somebody and then bury them with the tree, and that's pointless. You said formaldehyde.
Well, sure you can. You just
Isn't
gotta
that-
you
I
just
don't
gotta
know
put
the
them in the right
science.
position and
Toxic?
let rigor mortis sit in and
He is jerking your chain. If you can't, there you go.
we'll talk later.
Make you like a little wax
I don't
statue,
actually
and
think
then
I want
put
to
you in
talk
the.
to you anymore.
See, that's what I want. I want to be in Madame Tussauds before
No, you
this
know
is all
what?
said and done.
I'm getting you stuffed. We're gonna put you in the lobby here with motion activated, and you're just gonna cuss at people like one of those horrible parrots. Like,
be
hey,
like a
fucker,
version
what are
of,
you
like,
doing
I
here?
love that. Take me to a taxidermist. Fuck yeah, that's cheap
Yes.
as hell.
You'd
And
be
in
like-
the
like
area that
Lennon.
we're in the greater Chattanooga, Tennessee area,
Absolutely.
we can find somebody and be like, goddamn, give me a 12-pack. Log of Copenhagen, $50. We got this motherfucker done. I'll stuff him like a fucking Thanksgiving turkey. Here we go.
So speaking of burying,
Yeah, right?
what about land? Like, so I remember hearing people giving their
Oh, I think I know
land
where
to
you're
their
going. This is
kids
brilliant.
or selling the land or
Oh,
something.
yeah,
like
that's fraud.
And
Oh,
if it's
okay.
acres,
Yep.
splitting it between kids, right?
Yeah, so you can do things like that. So that's something that we would talk about in your will. Like, how do we divide up the land
Okay.
if you want to divide it up? Or if nobody wants the homestead, why are we keeping it? Let's save it, and then when the kids get it, they'll turn around and sell it immediately. Because, and this is one of the big things where I start freaking out when I hear about families doing this. If this gets into taxes, if you give property while you're alive to your kids, they take what's called basis, what you had in the property when you gave it. So
Okay.
if you had that same piece of farmland that was purchased back in 1970 for like $13,000 and it's now worth $200,000 and you want to give it to your kids, they take the property, sure, but their basis for tax purposes
Was the
is
200 grand.
No,
Oh.
is $13,000.
Ooh, nice.
No, because what happens if you turn around and sell
that.
it?
No.
So what happens is when you sell property that can appreciate in value, like land, you get hit with capital gains tax. And the capital gains tax is computed by taking the value of what you receive. So if we sold for $200,000, 200 minus your basis, which is $13,000. And that's the amount that you're going to get taxed on. And that could be like up to 20% tax bracket.
Oh, shit.
So if you are giving the property to your kids while you're alive, you are giving them your low basis. And that's not a good thing. Whereas if you keep it and they inherit it from you, you have it's either was in your name or it's in a trust that has one of these magic words provisions that pulls it back into your estate for the estate tax. That property gets a step up in basis, meaning instead of having $13,000 when the kids sell it, it's $200,000 minus $200,000. Pay tax of zero.
Oh.
Now, guess which one the kids would probably rather have?
The 13,000. Yeah, of course. That makes total sense.
Are you sure you don't work for Uncle Sam?
What about donating to charities?
So that's a good question. You can donate to charities. That's not a problem. That reduces your estate for estate tax purposes, but this is another one I love to get when people come in and they say, I'm worried about the estate tax. How much can I give away every year? Well, you can give away $15,000 every year to each person that you want to give money to. So if you've got 4 kids, you can give $15,000 to each kid without making a taxable gift. Everything over that $15,000 mark starts eating into your lifetime exemption. Do you know what the lifetime exemption is right now?
No clue.
Take a guess.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay. The lifetime exemption is how much you can give away or have in your estate when you die before you have to actually pay any estate tax.
Oh.
Take a guess.
$500,000.
A lot more. It's $11,580,000 per person. So
wait, what?
Per person. So if you are married, you can give away $23 million before we have to start talking about the gift tax. So when someone says, how much can I give away? As much as you want, because who cares unless you're a Powerball winner.
Holy crap.
Jesus. Huh. I need somebody in my family to hit the Powerball.
Kidding.
So that's the thing that what I'm much more concerned about the capital gains tax. So if we have 11 million to work with and you don't even have 2, we can do whatever the hell we want. As long as we set it up properly so when the kids get it, they're getting it with that step up in basis, they can liquidate the whole thing the day after you're dead and not pay a dime in taxes.
Good God.
Interesting.
So this is why
this is the shit that nobody thinks about.
And that's why I'm like shouting from the treetops, like, "Hey, come on! Don't do dumb things.
Right.
Don't write it on a
me.
napkin.
Talk to me at the party.
Yeah. So that's
when I'm in party mode.
Dude, he's funny though.
Oh, dude, he's the
come
shit.
on,
Yeah.
right?
So
until he gets up and starts singing karaoke, and it's like, wanted dead
How do you
or
know?
alive.
Yeah.
And,
She fucking hates me.
don't fear the Reaper.
I have thought about doing that for karaoke.
Don't fear the Reaper? Yes, you totally
screw with
should.
people,
Absolutely.
Yes. Love it.
Gotta have more cowbell. Anyway.
Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to throw out there? I mean, I know there's a lot of crap.
Keep going.
I know.
It's just what are the questions? Like it's easier for me to just go back and forth rather than just stand up and be professor mode. You just like blah 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 blah. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna tune out in 2 minutes. Be like, okay, that guy.
So we're not going to touch on this because we don't have the time.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you and I talked about on the phone was elderly planning and planning for children with special needs.
Yes.
And yes, I mean
those are huge.
Those are
Can we
huge.
get into that in like a Cliff Notes version?
Yeah, so basically the biggest concerns with people that are elderly is making sure that they can get, beer. The care that they need and have the best lifestyle that we can manage with what we've got to work with.
Right.
Okay.
So that's like goal number 1. You notice that kids' inheritance is not goal number 1. They get what's left.
Right.
Sure.
So that's like what we're talking about is how do we do that to make sure, because I mentioned, like what happens if one spouse is ill and the other one's got to live for another 20 years?
Right.
How do we manage it? That's like a whole, we sit down and talk about that.
Yeah.
We work through the programs that are available to provide care and their eligibility requirements, and they are not friendly.
Right.
Because the state doesn't want to have to pay.
Sure.
Because you're talking like $6,000 a month.
Oh yeah, it's super. I mean, you're talking nursing home, assisted living. That is not
Not
at all.
That's what we sit down and talk about with that. Now, For special needs children, it's similar programs. The program is Medicaid, is the elephant in the room. That's the one that you're worried about. But that's the big one. There are other ones out there, but that's the big one. So it's the same program, but you got a very different time horizon.
Right.
So if I'm talking with someone who's in their 80s, I'm not talking about 60 years of trying to make sure we maintain those benefits and getting the best life possible.
Sure.
Whereas a child who is 16 but has some kind of
Down syndrome,
or
cerebral palsy. I mean,
something.
anything. Yeah.
Right.
They could live a nice, full, long, happy life if we take the right steps.
Wow.
And so what we wanted to do is we want to make sure that they can get the benefits that they need. And also part of that is not always just the benefits check that can come in the mail or the program that's paid for. There are other programs like halfway houses that you just can't get into unless you're eligible for one of the big federal programs.
Right. Sure.
So we want to make sure that we can get them what they, the best options that are out there. And still have an inheritance that is like set there to take care of everything that state and federal programs won't pay for.
Right.
Yes.
How do we make sure that they get an inheritance that's not going to screw up their life?
Right.
And that's what a lot of special needs planning is about. And also, it's usually called like the circle of caregivers or circle of care. There's various terms for it, but basically, all the individual people that are out there that can take up a piece of what mom or dad do.
Right.
Because when mom or dad are around for a child with special needs, they're usually the ones that are doing
Everything.
They've got
Yep.
like 20 hats on.
Sure.
And when mom and dad are gone, who's picking up each one of those hats? And that's a lot of what we're planning ahead for is, okay, we got to start making sure that you're tied in with other support groups.
Right.
Find the right, so you know where to talk to people.
Yeah.
To make sure that we have all of those things in place so that if something does happen to you, all those people can step in and get going
Sure.
as fast as possible with as little lag time as possible so that the child that we're concerned about here can go on living a good, happy life.
Right.
Like, that's the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
Without actually getting into it.
No, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
There's certain things, and again, I would have never, for whatever reason, probably because it doesn't affect me personally, as selfish as that is, would have never thought about doing this for a special needs kid. And I would have to assume that, you having, if you had elderly and special needs side by side, I'm sure the special needs child's case is a lot easier to deal with because people are more willing to, I say parents, like work around the system.
It just kind of comes down everywhere. Some folks, because when you're talking about the elderly, a lot of kids get it, like the adult children,
Sure.
they get it. Others are that they want to try and protect what they've got, protect their inheritance. And
Of course.
that involves a little bit of a conversation of, okay, we got to reprioritize you here.
Yeah.
And other times it's the parents that want to make sure they leave something to their kids, and they're sacrificing their health and well-being to try and get. It's like, no,
Yeah.
let's get you straightened out here. And the same thing happens with the parents of special needs children. They try to bear everything themselves and don't pay attention to making sure they're taking care of themselves
Right.
as well. And so a lot of it is also not so much legal work, but counseling, family counseling, basically,
Right.
like just helping people understand, okay, you cannot be a superhero and do this on your own forever. You got to have a break somewhere in there. So
Gotcha.
you can start getting some other people in here so you can share some of this load.
Nice.
And because doesn't mean we don't love the child less. We just have to do something extra than what we'd have to do for little 5-year-olds running around trying to, shout and tear the house down,
Yep.
like at my house.
Absolutely. Totally know how that goes.
Yeah. So I've got one question before we have to sign off.
Sure.
What do you do to decompress when you're done with your workday?
I am a giant nerd. If you couldn't figure that out from the amount of law that I know, I am a giant nerd. So I like playing video games, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh shit! I shit on Ethan for that earlier, and he got so offended.
I was not offended. I was just like, I'm gonna make you eat that. I'm gonna save that for the very end.
You guys had this plan, you rat bastards.
I wish we did. That was
Phenomenal.
well played, sir. Well
Nice.
played.
So yeah, I'm a giant nerd.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to have that escape because you're dealing with such a heavy topic all day long.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
Well, for
that,
me,
or just be an alcoholic. But you're not welcome at most parties.
I do like booze. No, but, no.
In moderation.
In moderation, exactly.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah,
me,
me too.
it's not quite so heavy for me because I know that what I'm doing is I am relieving a burden from somebody.
So there's some
Right.
satisfaction, too.
They're worried about something, and I'm making that go away.
That's
And
incredible.
that right there is a huge, like, okay, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm wading into some seriously heavy and oftentimes depressing shit.
Right.
Because I'm helping someone else feel a lot better about something that's worrying them. to
No
death.
doubt.
I love that.
So
Very cool.
I love
That's-
that.
Very cool.
Oh, what a
Where
great-
can they find you?
So you can find me online or on social media. Online at Trailhead EP. That's short for estate planning.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. So I could have written down Trailhead
You're
Estate
pretty
Planning all in one
smart.
word, but it'd be like that long. And
Yeah.
no one would type it in. So.
Phenomenal email address.
So you can find me there. You can also find me online, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. It's Trailhead EP for all of them. Just look for me. I'm around. So I'm
Awesome.
licensed in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. So
Very nice.
Brilliant.
And next time you're playing Dungeons and Dragons online and the Grim Reaper pops into your room,
It's Pete.
you got Pete.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
where he's at, right there. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You
Yeah,
actually
that
took
was
something
great.
that I hate and I was dreading, and you've turned it into something that is way more approachable.
Yeah, he actually blossomed a little bit.
Who?
You.
Eh,
Yeah.
I don't know about blossoming. It's probably the beer.
Yeah.
But no, you actually did. You did a phenomenal job. Thank you so
you very
much.
much.
And
been a
eventually, yeah, I'd love to have you back and deep dive into this some more.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
That's why I was like, what do you want to talk about? What do you got the time for?
Yeah, right? I mean,
keep on going right on.
As
in.
we're talking
Sure.
on the phone, I'm like, ooh, let's talk this. Ooh, let's talk that. And he goes, yeah, let's just stick to a generic. And I'm like, okay.
that's fair.
Because you saw how much ground we covered.
Oh,
just
yeah.
staying,
It was
staying high
amazing.
level instead
Yeah.
of going
Yeah.
way into that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it
this
was,
went by
it
very
was
quick.
super cool. Yeah, well, we're done.
We're done.
Damn. Well, hey, guys. Thanks.
Hey, don't forget you can find us on Tuned In with Alexa as well. Just say, hey, Alexa, play Logically Emotional. And look, we're there. It's crazy. Also, Google, Spotify, Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Stitcher, and of course, our friends at iHeartRadio, among all your other favorite podcast platforms. And you can find us online.
LogicallyEmotionalPodcast.com.
That is correct. This is Rebecca.
Ooh, this is Sting.
We'll see you next time right here on Logically Emotional. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can find the latest shows online and on demand wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And you can find Logically Emotional on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You've been listening to Logically Emotional. Copyright 2020, Terminal 57 Inc. All rights reserved.